After the age of 60, the rules of love have changed. Women are no longer looking for muscles or grand promises of loving you for the rest of my life. They need a man who is steadily present, who knows how to show respect, who knows how to govern his emotions. The problem is, many men only grow old in their bodies. Their minds are still like a 25-year-old boy hungry for praise, desperate for recognition, obsessed with proving, "I've still got it." In a woman's eyes, that is just a lonely old man trying hard to impress. Stoicism reminds us, don't chase feelings, train inner discipline. This video will show you 6 things women truly want from men after 60 and how to become a peaceful harbor instead of a meaningless storm. After 60, the ironic thing is that many men are still playing a love game whose expiration date has long passed. They still believe women will be drawn to muscles, to old adventure stories, or to promises of loving until the end of life that they themselves no longer fully believe in. But on the other side, women have quietly changed the rules. At this age, they do not need another passing infatuation. They need a place where their heart can rest. They are not looking for a boy in denial of his age. They are looking for a man who has already graduated from the elementary school of the ego and stepped into the university of maturity. What they long for is a steady presence, a man who is fully there when he is with them, not distracted, not avoiding, not running away from uncomfortable emotions. It is respect, seeing them as a whole human being, not as a late-life romantic object used to add color to a fading ego. It is emotional maturity, someone who can receive feedback without exploding, endure distance without panicking, and accept differences without needing to control everything. The problem is that most men do not grow up in time with the age printed on their ID card. They still carry with them the weapons of youth that have gone blunt. Over-the-top flirting to hide their fear of rejection, showing off to cover the feeling that they are no longer valuable, trying to prove they are still desirable, to avoid facing the deep insecurity within. They demand recognition like a child begging for a reward, rather than entering a relationship as an equal, calm, and complete person. In a woman's eyes, that image condenses into one short, cold sentence. An old man, lonely and weak inside, just trying to impress. Stoic philosophy would pose a tricky question to a man over 60. Do you want to keep playing the role of a young boy on a stage where the lights have already gone out? Or will you accept growing old so that, for the first time, you can finally live as a true man? In contrast, a truly virile man does not need to talk about sex all day. There is a quiet, sensual composure about him, shown in eyes that are not predatory, in the way he sits without showing off, in the way he touches slowly, fully present, unhurried, never forcing anything. He does not deny his desire, but he does not kneel before it either. He can say yes to intimacy, but he is also steady enough to say no when things no longer carry respect or align with his values. That presence sends out a silent yet piercing message. If you don't know how to cherish me, you will lose me. Not as a threat, but as the calm truth of someone who knows his own worth. Stoic philosophy does not deny sexuality. It simply refuses to let sexuality become the master. It is precisely this selectiveness and self-control that create true magnetism. Mature women are not moved by unconditional availability. They are drawn to a man who knows what he wants, who is not in a hurry, not desperate, not begging. Next to such a man, they feel not just desire, but the presence of a soul that has stopped running from his fears and has begun to take command of itself truly. If disciplined sexuality is how a man maturely uses his primal energy, then the next thing that separates the old guy trying to impress from the rare man is the kind of power he carries with him when he walks into a room. Mature women are all too familiar with the fake alpha type, speaking louder to feel more right, overpowering others in arguments, trying to win every conversation. At first, that loudness can look like confidence, but over time, it reveals its true nature: insecurity, a hunger for validation, a need for others to fear him so he doesn't have to face his own fear of himself. Meanwhile, what women truly respect is a kind of quiet power, a calm authority that doesn't need to shout. This is the man who speaks little, but every sentence carries weight, not because he is playing hard to get, but because he only speaks after observing, listening, and understanding deeply enough that his words no longer add to the noise. Such a man knows how to listen without feeling threatened. He analyzes the situation, sets clear boundaries: this I accept, that I do not accept, but has no need to use violence or humiliating words. He holds his values intact. He is not soft like noodles just to be loved, and he doesn't nod along just to maintain fake harmony. For him, respect matters more than being liked. In Stoic philosophy, this is autoridade tranquilla, calm authority, not easily provoked by a snide remark, not driven around by fleeting emotions like a leaf in the wind, not led by the nose by a woman just because he's afraid of being abandoned. He doesn't need to control others because he has already learned to control himself. And it is precisely this paradox that creates lasting attraction. The less he needs to prove, the more trustworthy he becomes. Finally, there is a law that mature women feel very clearly: where there is no respect, desire dies. Quiet power doesn't just earn respect, it also keeps every form of desire resting on a foundation of dignity, both his and their own. Once a man has learned this quiet power, not shouting, yet still carrying weight, the next question is, what does he use that power for? This is where life experience steps onto the stage. It can become the light of wisdom, or just an excuse for arrogance. After 60, there are usually two very distinct kinds of men. The first type, the experienced man who turns his past into a pedestal to stand on and preach. He says the same old lines. Back in my day, I've lived longer than you, so I'm right. Every sentence lands like a hammer, not to understand, but to assert, I'm above, you're below. For a mature woman, what she feels is not wisdom, but exhaustion. Exhausted from having to listen to a museum of memories, where his ego is displayed larger than any lesson. The second type is also experienced. He has gone through hurt, failures, success, and loss, but he doesn't use that to crown himself professor of life. He transforms experience into gentle understanding. He talks little and listens much. He doesn't need to win a conversation, doesn't try to wrap it up with, see, I was right, wasn't I? He creates a space where both people can grow. Both can reflect on themselves. Both can look at the issue more clearly, instead of turning the conversation into a stage where he shines and the other person sits as the audience. Women do not need a living museum of the past, where every story begins with back then. They want a man who is living well now, someone who uses his experience to handle conflict without pouring more fuel on the fire, someone who can accept differences without humiliating others, someone who stays calm in the face of surprises instead of panicking or lashing out. In Stoic philosophy, experience has value only when it walks hand in hand with humility. Experience plus humility, wisdom. A man like that doesn't need to say, I've been through a lot. Just by watching how he responds to life, a woman will understand for herself, this man has come a long way, and he's still humble enough to keep learning. That is the kind of man they want to walk beside, not bow their heads and be lectured by. When a man already has experience and enough humility to turn it into wisdom, the next question is, how does he bring that wisdom into everyday life? At that point, women don't just listen to him anymore. They start to watch him. And here a very subtle quality steps forward. Elegance, from appearance to attitude. Elegance in the eyes of a mature woman is not an expensive suit or a luxury watch. It begins with straightforward but intentional things. Knowing how to dress neatly and cleanly, putting outfits together so they're easy on the eyes, not flashy, but not so sloppy that it looks like you've given up. A well-pressed shirt, clean shoes, a pleasant body scent, things that seem small but say a lot about a man. Do you still respect yourself or not? Elegance also lies in the way he uses his words, knowing how to speak with restraint, not swearing all the time, and not being rude to waitstaff or those in a weaker position. A simple thank you, a respectful look, a slight nod, sometimes leaves a more profound impression than 1,000 bragging lines. Women notice this extremely clearly. The way a man treats others is, sooner or later, the way he will treat them. Then comes his stance in life, not getting drunk just to prove he's having fun, not acting over the top in a crowd just to grab attention, not needing to be loud to prove he's still wild at heart. A man who knows how to hold his posture understands that Stoic philosophy does not teach us to be cold, but never to lose ourselves in any kind of fun. A man who has not given up on himself sends out a potent signal, very quiet yet far-reaching. I still respect myself, and women can feel that even before he opens his mouth. Conversely, sloppiness and disorder, from clothing to speech, is a silent declaration. I have already given up. A Stoic man never chooses to give up on himself, at any age, and precisely because of that, his elegance is not only pleasing to the eye, it is trustworthy. When a man still has enough self-respect to keep his elegance in how he dresses, speaks, and shows up, that is a beautiful sign. But for a mature woman, things do not stop at how he looks or how he behaves. The deepest question, the one that decides everything, is whether he is whole on the inside or not. From here, the central image of this entire journey appears. The man after 60 as a lighthouse. An actual lighthouse does not run after any ship, does not beg anyone to look its way. It stands there, steady, bright, quiet. It is either an anchor point that's hard to ignore in the night, or if the light has gone out, it's nothing more than an old, dim, meaningless lamppost no one pays attention to. Men after 60 are the same. They either become a presence that makes people feel at ease wherever they go, or they fade into the crowd of old men who only know how to complain, cling, and replay outdated youthful roles. Women at this age are no longer searching for cheap emotional thrills, rapid-fire messages, jealous scenes, or promises of, "I'll live and die for you," that can change tone by tomorrow. They are not interested in young man conquest tactics either. Loud flirting, fiery declarations, drama, and then making up. They've already lived through all of that. What they seek, simple yet complex, is a man who is full on the inside. Someone who does not need a relationship to feel valuable, who does not need a woman to patch the holes in his heart. A whole man is someone who can be alone without collapsing, who can love without losing himself. He chooses to love rather than begging to be loved. He does not use romance as a mask for his fear of loneliness, but sees it as a gift he willingly offers from an inner life that already stands firm. Stoic philosophy calls this building an inner fortress, a place where, no matter who comes or goes, no matter whether love stays or leaves, he still does not abandon himself. And it is precisely at this point that women realize this is no longer an age story, but a story about the character of a man who has truly grown up.